Welcome to In Your Face. I'm Josh Wiederhorn along with
Jimmy Sullivan.
And
Michael Bellafoni.
Okay, so we have a lot to talk about today. The first one, Carmelo Anthony. He hasn't really been doing that well with the Knicks in the last 2 years. Should the Knicks trade him or should they keep him? I'll talk to you first.
Okay, so my problem with this is the most likely scenario is that Carmelo Anthony gets traded to the Rockets, right? So the issue there is that the Rockets would have to give up a lot. You're talking about Eric Gordon, Ryan Anderson, potentially Trevor Ariza or Clint Capella. That's a lot of assets to give up, and Carmelo Anthony is still a great player. He is a great offensive player in particular. Doesn't add as much on the defensive end anymore, but I think that it's not necessarily worth gutting all of that just to get Carmelo Anthony, who at this point in his career really is not, he's starting to decline. I think most people would agree. And I don't think, even with Carmelo Anthony, if they get rid of all of those guys, I still don't think they beat the Warriors. So honestly, if I can get a deal for Carmelo Anthony that doesn't involve all of those guys, I'd do it. But if it does, I think I would have to say no.
Yeah, that's a lot of young people and prospects for the future. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the Knicks should trade him because they're trying to rebuild. They got rid of Phil Jackson. They're obviously bringing in new talent, young talent. They got Kristaps to build around. I think that since Melo is starting to decline, I think they should trade him to a contender before he starts to rapidly fall apart. So, I mean, the Rockets would be a good ideal spot, but the Knicks, I don't think they'd be looking for some players like that. I think they'd be looking for draft picks, young talent. I don't think they'd be going for like Eric Gordon, who's like, what is he, like 30?
Yeah, I think he's about that.
Yeah, he's about 30,
Yeah.
and Ariza, he's been around for a while, so I think they should go after some young guys, throw in a veteran for more trade.
But I think,
assets later.
and I think too, the Rockets and the Knicks probably aren't going to be the only teams in this deal. I read a report before that they're working on potentially a 4-team trade, which would be insane. But I think that the Knicks could get the brunt of like draft picks, cash compensation, a couple of young guys, potentially Capella is a guy I really like, their center. But I think that they're going to have to involve other teams in the deal. And again, from the Knicks' point of view, I think you absolutely have to trade Carmelo Anthony and get something for him while you can. But from the Rockets' point of view, you don't want to give up too much for a guy that's really only going to seriously help you for only like a couple of years.
Yeah, definitely good points. Moving on to our second topic, the All-Star Game and how it doesn't count for home field advantage anymore. Some people think this is a ridiculous rule, while other people think it brings out more fun in the All-Star Game. First, I'll go to Michael. What do you think?
I like that they changed it because I think it's not fair that All-Star Game, which should have no meaning. I mean, the NBA and Pro Bowl, they don't have any meaning, so. And the NHL 3-on-3, that doesn't matter, so I don't think it should decide. I think a team as a whole deserves it. Whoever has the better record should be the home field advantage. They used to switch before the tie in Milwaukee in 2002, which I think is kind of dumb as well. I think whoever deserves it more should get it, not just based on luck.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. The All-Star Game should be an exhibition of the best players in baseball, having fun, doing their thing at the highest point in their craft. I think there were just so many irreconcilable differences between how the game was played, how the game was managed, and frankly how the fans voted on the game as opposed to what it counted for and how significant it really was. Take last year, for example. I don't know what the exact win totals were, but the Cubs had at least 10 to 15 more wins in the regular season than the Indians. But meanwhile, Game 7 of the World Series was in Cleveland. 1997, same thing. The Indians had more wins, but Game 7 was in Miami. So I don't think it's fair to do that to the All-Star Game when you have teams that are worse but are able to take advantage of the fact that the All-Star Game counts for home field advantage in the World Series. It should just go to the team with the better record.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out, though, that the 97, it wasn't because of the All-Star Game, they just rotated.
That's true, and that was dumb, as Mike said as well.
Okay, last topic, very quickly, the one-and-done rule. How do you feel about it?
Well, I don't agree with it. I think the players should be able to go straight from high school to the NBA. I think the main issue here is that college athletes don't get paid, so I have a hard time thinking that it's fair to force players to go without compensation for a year. Granted, they're playing for free, but still. To go without compensation for a year, potentially risk injury, to then go to the NBA. And plus, too, I think it would make for a better college game because if you have less guys going to college, you still have other guys going to college for 3 and 4 years. They had the one-and-done rule in the 90s, and you still had Duke and Michigan and all these great teams. So I think that the one-and-done rule, I wouldn't have it. I would just let guys go straight out of high school.
Okay, very quickly, what do you think?
I think it's up to the player. I think if they should go one and done or another year of college or just skip college altogether. If they should just decide how good they are and what their draft stock's going to be. If another year of college helps them, I think they should go back. for another year. For
Yes.
the fans, for their own sake of talent and minutes they can get. But if they're good in the beginning of college, why risk an injury that will ruin your career in college? Just go right to the pros.
Yes, I agree. On both of your points, they're pretty well. That is the end of In Your Face for today. I'm Josh Wiederhorn along with
Jimmy Sullivan.
and
Michael Belafemi.
we will see you tomorrow.